Good day. I'm Benjamin McKinnon. 1816 has been an exciting year for Indiana. Our territory became a state. There are going to be a lot of changes to the land. But one thing that won't change is the people that live here and the work that I do. As a fur trader here along the White River, I deal with the Lenape tribe. Some folks know them as the Delaware tribe, but they call themselves Lenape, which means the people. Over the course of my business with them, I've come to enjoy their company and enjoyed hearing their stories. I'm not part of the Delaware tribe, and their stories are not my own, but I am excited to share with you some of those they've shared with me. When the world was new. There was a vast amount of water, and then slowly emerged a shell of an enormous turtle. The water ran off its shell, and shell dried out, forming the earth. A tree began to form on the back of this turtle, and by its roots appeared sprouts, which begat the first man and the first woman. The Lenape tribe descended from these very first people. The Lenape believe in one creator, Kishelmokok, who created the whole world. As soon as he thought of something, it came into existence. So, a long time ago, he created creatures big and small. Back then, squirrels used to be not little bitty creatures, but 10 feet tall. They were very hungry creatures, always looking for something delicious. As soon as they saw something walking on by, they would pounce and devour it. One day, the squirrel was on the hunt, and he saw something walking along that was very odd, something never seen before. It had 2 legs, 2 arms, a head, walking upright. Of course, this was a human, and of course, looked delicious. But before the squirrel could eat this meal, the skies opened up, and the Creator himself came to deliver a proclamation. Nobody eat these creatures. I have plans for them. These humans are going to keep an eye on the land, so they are important, and you cannot eat them. Understand? All right, said the squirrel. Even though you made them look tasty, the 10-foot-tall squirrel promised Kishelmokok he would leave the humans alone. Well, promises are hard to keep, aren't they? It wasn't too long after that squirrel was out hunting, and one of those early plump little humans walked on by and... Did you know that humans smell delicious? The giant squirrel just couldn't help himself. He snatched him up, gobbled him up. He had eaten just about everything except for one little hand when the skies opened up and the Creator appeared. The squirrel hid the evidence of his broken promise, but you can't fool the Creator. Now, squirrel, didn't I just tell you not to eat the humans? Squirrel said, I don't know what you're talking about. Squirrel, what do you have under your arm? Oh. Caught human-handed. Kishelmokok said, I warned you. Now you're going to have to pay the penalty. I'm going to shrink you down from 10 feet tall into an itty-bitty little creature. And not only that, instead of you eating the humans, they're going to eat you. Now, isn't that a story? It makes you remember to keep your word. That's one of the things I like about the stories the Lenape tell. They teach you a lesson. And it's not just the squirrels that learned a lesson. A long time ago, a raccoon was stealing firewood. Not surprising. Raccoons can be sneaky little creatures. Well, that raccoon was so proud of himself outrunning everyone with his stolen prize that he wasn't looking where he was going. He tripped, and the log flew up and hit the raccoon right in the face. Uh, Ow. The log still had some fire on it, and it singed the fur around the raccoon's eyes, making it look like the creature was wearing a mask. And now all raccoons bear that same mark of a thief. Now, the Lenape are grateful for the animals they encounter, even when they make mischief, because animals can be good helpers too. There was a woman of the Lenape tribe who was very beautiful, but hadn't had much luck finding a husband. One day, she saw a very tall and handsome hunter. She looked at him, and he looked at her, and they both smiled. You can see where this is going. He started walking, she started to follow, and soon they came to a great lake. Water, for as far as the eye could see. The tall hunter took a few steps into the lake, and one step more, and another, until his whole head was under the water. Well, the Lenape woman thought this was odd, but he was handsome, so she followed him. Step by step, and another, until her head was under the water as well. Much to her surprise, she found that she could breathe underwater, just like she was breathing air. She kept following the handsome hunter, and they kept walking. The woman was amazed to see there was a whole world under the surface of the lake, just like the one on land. As they walked, they passed by several underwater cabins. As they passed one, the door flew open and an old woman stepped out. "What are you doing?" she yelled at the hunter. "I told you never to bring anyone down here." And she slammed the door shut. "Oh, don't worry about that," said the young hunter to the Lenape woman. "She does that to everyone. Just follow me. Trust me. Everything will be fine." The Lenape woman followed, and the two of them began to have a life together in their own cabin under the water. Every day, the hunter left their cabin to hunt, while the Lenape woman stayed behind and did chores. Sometimes, she thinks she could hear a hissing sound, or that, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a snake. When the hunter returned, she asked him what he thought about that, and he told her she was just imagining things. One day, she decided to be very, very quiet and followed the hunter when he left to hunt. As she followed, she watched him closely, but she wasn't watching her own feet, and she stepped on a twig. The snap of the twig made the hunter turn around quickly, and when he did, he turned into the biggest snake you ever did see. As she watched, the snake's mouth got mighty wide, and the Lenape woman was truly frightened. Fearing she was in danger, the Lenape woman called out to one of her friends from the land, "Weasel, Weasel, if you hear me, please come help me." Above the surface of the water, the weasel heard her cry and dove down. It swam through the water and killed the giant snake just as the snake was about to gobble up the woman. The Lenape woman turned and ran. And she ran and ran and ran until finally her head was above the water. And she took in a deep breath. Then she took a step forward, and another, until she stood on the shore of the lake. She breathed in deep gulps of air. She'd almost forgotten what it was like. As the woman stood there, she realized she was not alone. Watching over her were the thunders, the people who live up in the sky and watch humanity. You very rarely see them, but we hear the rumbling their clothing makes as they move above us. One of the friendly thunders spoke to the woman. Wouldn't it be better if you were to stay with us? The woman agreed she would feel safer up in the sky with the thunders. And before she left the land again, she told her tribe that any low, gentle rumbling sound heard from the sky would be the sound she would make. Well, that's all the time I have for now. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Maybe you and your family can make an animal story that tells why the animal looks the way it does, or teaches an important lesson. Do you know any stories about animals? If you do, please share it with us.
Well, Willikishku, that's Lenape for good day.